unneeded storage.
That's splendid.
The most important part of it.
Come on in,
Okay.
you're so.
Sometimes I'm jealous, so we're in meetings.
I know, I bet you
I'm like, I had a lunch, I'm gonna bring lunch to office.
All right, ready?
Yep.
So, we appreciate you sharing this where I don't think, well, a couple points I want to just sort of leave you with. We're not going to get it done today, as you might imagine, but made a lot of good progress and appreciate the work and everything that we've been doing here. And I think this is, you know, in the end, we're going to figure out a way to skin this cat and get it done. It's, you know, very, as I say, we both have constituencies we're playing to and not playing to, but that we have. And, you know, we just got to figure out a way to work through this. As far as the reduction in the contribution, I just want to sort of remind everybody that that contribution was set in exchange for an increase in benefit. In other words, we agreed that we would increase benefit. This is going back, I think, to the 90s, that we would increase the benefit, and in exchange, the employees would fund that increase by making their contribution 9%. So that 9% was in exchange for a benefit. So if there's a reduction in the contribution, I mean, you can't have both ways. You can't say, I'm paying for the benefit and we both got the benefit. You know, we got the contribution and the employees got the benefit.
So are you
Now we're
saying
gonna stop the
benefits
benefit.
haven't been reduced?
What's that?
Are you saying the benefits haven't been reduced from the 90s?
No, not at all.
Oh, no?
Yeah, not for the 90s, not at all.
So how did we get to 275? They were reduced. Absolutely.
You know,
There's no more.
we've sort of, I think we've talked through that you can't go back today and each year, as we've said, you can't calculate each year.
Mark, you just went back to
That's how it
1990,
goes.
come on, man.
Well,
Right, that's
but
when
the
the
point
benefit
is
went.
that particular, the contribution rate was raised from 5% to 10.5%, specifically to buy the multiplier up from 2.5 to 2.75. So.
But 2.75 is the minimum,
Today, not then.
You understand?
but it's still the minimum. So no matter what these guys agree to, you have to do 275. So they don't have to pay for that anymore. That's what the statute says. The statute
Right.
says with the minimum.
From then, it's gone up from 275 to, for some people, to 3.3, and then, of course, the pension changes in 2012.
And the vast majority of them are on 275. I mean, I think there's maybe, how many people are on 3.3?
And we're not, believe me, we're not suggesting reducing or going or whatever. I'm just pointing out, it's information at this point that,
Right.
that
Oh, yeah.
when it went to 9, it was to pay for certain things. So to just say now we're not agreeing to pay for it or whatever, I'm not sure and I don't know. So we're going to need time to do some research and due diligence and consultation with our pension experts. I don't think, it's our initial position, I'm not saying final position, I don't think you can force this back to 5, in spite of what you may think or what you think the statute says. I don't know that you can force us back to there. So that's one thing that I know you believe you can, and that's one thing members are counting on, and being told we can force them there. I don't know that you can. I don't know that you can, but we're going to need some time to look at that. And then on the share plan, the frozen amount, you know, we are, you know, willing to discuss that further. I don't know that you can force us back to the 2012 number, but again, we need to look at that. One thing, I do want to throw up there before I think we break and set another time, because I hope we've given you some things to think about, although you had the money plan. Again, those are very significant increases, double digits, 20% over the next 3 months for many people, and things like that. And the goal was to incentivize, hopefully, some movement on the pension plan. Now, maybe it didn't work, you're still not willing to give up because, for whatever reason, but that was certainly our goal. We want to put enough money on there to make everybody think twice, like, let's get this money and you know, make some movement on the pension plan. One thing we're talking about, and when we talked about possibly making some movement, is we could consider putting money into a share plan for those 40 people, for example, who's about 40 who are at the lower thing, so that regardless of the excess money, whatever, we could say we will put in X number of dollars into a share plan, which then gets divvied up to the employees and becomes a supplement to their retirement. I don't have a specific number to offer, but some amount to be negotiated that we could put into a share plan, regardless of changing the excess money. Let's assume there is no excess money. We could agree we'll put X dollars as an offer, with $1,000 a person for the 40 people, $40,000 as an example or a possibility for this year, and then the second year of the contract, something like that. So that is then creating some supplemental retirement income in lieu of making the change. And you know, we've got future years of bargaining, and you know, we know it's continues to be a priority. We can continue to look at it. But I know we're not making any promises, and you can't count on that, so I don't expect you to just fall on the ground for that one. But I'm telling you, we are willing to continue to speak to our commissioners about that. But for this year, for getting this contract done, our approach was to really try to incentivize it with the money. And again, possibly putting some money into a share plan, which is some effort, some increase to their retirement money. So that's sort of a proposal in exchange for this, to keep the contribution the same. At this point, although we'll still talk about it lower, you know, not lower, but keep the excess dollars. But regardless of excess dollars, putting money into a share plan, which will help increase their pension. So I've got some homework to do. I hope you've got some things to think about.
So is that an unequivocal no to everyone being on the Tier 1 pension? Because that's what I'm hearing.
Unequivocal no. At this time, we still do not have any authority to put everybody on the Tier 1 pension. Did I say that right?
Yes.
No, but we're here, we're still negotiating, we want to continue to meet. I'm not telling you what to do, I'm not telling you what we consider. I mentioned it before the break. You tell me no increases for the next 3 years, I don't know what the commission would do with that. I don't know, we would certainly talk to them about it, but you know, if that's a proposal, or you have some proposal, I mean, you're making, you know, what you handed us, and I can see you're trying to get them to sign it and hand it over to us, is fine. You know, that's not bargaining either. We're willing to talk about this and continue to talk about it in conjunction with wages. If you want to make a different wage proposal to try to incentivize us to continue talking, I'm telling you, we're willing to continue to talk about it. At this point, I don't have that authority, but I don't know what the commission will do if you make an offer they can't refuse, so to speak.
I thought we had made it perfectly clear that the Tier 1 pension was the one thing that was not negotiable, that we're not coming off of based on the history and based on 185 monies and the contribution percentage. One question I do have would be benefits. So you've got something like 10 or 15 people on the 3.3. Why are the ones on the 275 paying a 9% contribution as well then? Because the ones on the 275 pension plan have the absolute bare minimum that's required by law. That the city actually, a few years back, tried to reduce it even further and got a letter stating they were going recertified by the state and had to increase it again. So they're at the bare minimum. Why are they paying an additional contribution in the 185 months? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, first of all, you haven't proposed changing it for them. Again, we're not gonna propose changing it. You know, it's a total cost. That was the agreement to pay 9%, and, you know, that's what it's been.
So let me just say this, what that doesn't solve, you opening up a share plan possibly, instead of, in lieu of changing, putting everybody on tier 1. That doesn't solve the years of service that you have to do. They're still required to do 25 years. And that doesn't solve them not being able to collect their pension upon retirement. So you're gonna, so if you had to do your job for 25 years, and then you
Wait 12 years.
retired, you were done, you got out of it, you were old, I'm done with it, hanging it up. Now you have to wait 12 more years before you can collect a check for what you just did for 25 years. That's what you're asking more than half of your department to do, and keeping them at a 25-year pension with an age restriction. That's what you're asking them to do.
Which everybody's gone away from that, including the FRS. They just went back to 25 years, 6 years vested, 3.3, or 3% multiplier and 3% COLA. That's what they went back to.
And a
From the
2% contribution.
And a 2% contribution, correct. So, that is what you're up against in retention here. And I know that you guys may not think so, the commissioners may not think so, but they don't work doing this job. And I get it. And I know to you guys, it's just dollars and cents. I'm telling you, don't wait till you're down 10 or 15 people, because then your pool is pretty bad now as it is of what you're getting, because there's better options. Let's just say that. When you become the worst option, then that's what you're gonna get. And look,
We hear you, and you know, it's not just dollars and cents. There's, as I said, we have common interests here of retaining good people, getting good people, retaining good people. You know, this is not, it's not just, it's costing us an extra dollar, so we're not gonna do it. We are trying to, and the commission's trying to evaluate and balance all those and all the other city interests that the commissioners have to balance. So, you know, we've got to look at, we've got other bargaining units. We had fire in here a few minutes ago, last time, you know, looking at what's going on. So, you know, we're looking at costs and changes. And I know you're only interested in your bargaining unit, and that's all you're supposed to be interested in, but the city's got broader considerations than one bargaining unit. We've got to look at the entire city. So, you know, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but we do have a common goal of respecting our employees, treating them right, and being competitive. And you know, we could have agree to disagree as to what it takes to be competitive. Is it the wages? Is it the starting wage? I mean, on the one hand, you say you don't care about applicants or people who aren't here, but in a sense you do, because you're talking about recruitment. You're saying we need to get recruits, so we need to get the starting pay up. And so that is part of the equation, and that's part of the common interest. If we can hire people, that helps relieve overtime and stresses on you all. If we can't, it creates more stresses for you and the department. So, you know, it's not just dollars and cents, but, you know, we've made, well, there's not a TA per se. I think we've got a good understanding on wages and how it might impact pension. We are willing to take a look at this and see. I suggest you do too, because I'm not sure you can accomplish what you think you can. And then, you know, from our perspective, again, the fact that people, there was an agreement to go to more than 9% at the time, as Kelly said, 10.9 even, in exchange for a benefit. So those are things we look at. That's a deal we made, you know, we think we need to live with. So, but, you know, we are willing to continue to talk about it. There's other ways, I think, other proposals you might be able to craft. Now you're talking about the 25 and out and things like that, and age requirements. You know, I don't know what our answer is to that, but if that's the most important part of that, you know, you talk about different things. But again, I want to recircle back to the wages and the package we've put on the table there that we think the employees deserve, and they try to move forward.
We're not negating that, we're not arguing about the wages. That's, we've already agreed that we are in agreement with you,
But it-
that the wages are pretty good. We
Right,
agree
and
with
we
that.
appreciate that.
And,
But-
and here's what I'm looking at. You got 16 people at less than 5 years. Those 16 people, if your wages aren't top tier, which this gets you towards the
ballpark.
top, but not top tier, they could leave, go to another agency, even an FRS agency, and retire and collect in less time than they could do it here, even having worked here up to 5 years. So those are 16 people that if the pension doesn't get done, I would fully expect to leave.
Well, I don't, respectfully, I'm not sure that's the case.
Well,
Working at Ormond has other, you came
I
here.
can tell you that it is the case.
I can tell you it's the
16
case.
people are
We
gonna
work
leave
here,
in the
we
next
work
year.
with people.
They're
I know
tired.
HR has had several files pulled, and you can't say that you haven't.
Okay, I know for a fact, 3 are looking at Alaska right now.
Alaska?
Yep, you know
We
why?
can't compete with Alaska.
Well, but that's how far they gotta go. Because it's $100,000 that they're gonna get a piece to go sign up to go over there, okay? But they'd rather stay here in the warm sunshine, but if they're gonna have to retire and then not get paid, because they're all young, they don't wanna do it. And then you got other ones that are looking at, you know, the county. The county's got 30 openings right now, because they just got the beach. I mean, it's,
We can't, I hear what you're saying, we can't, I mean, people I assume could always, for the last 30 years, go to New York and make more money and maybe have a better pension plan, I don't know. There's things that bring people to Florida, number one, and more importantly, to Ormond. This is a good place to work, it's a good department, it's a good chief, good administration, I think.
not debating that.
Okay, right, so there's things that bring people here besides 0.25% difference in pension.
It's not all, because.
But the 0.25% isn't even the biggest thing. It's like you said, you're working 25 years and then waiting 12 to 14 years to even collect $1 on your retirement.
Who does that?
Well, this is the first time we're hearing that that's a critical, I mean, I know it's part of the proposals.
That's the first time you're hearing that?
No, I said that it's
It's in
a
the
critical or
proposal,
a critical
It's the first time you
thing.
guys have vocalized that
No,
that's
it's not.
critical.
We did that
You
the
guys
first.
talk about the multiplier.
That's part of your
the-
proposal, I know that.
No, but that was, Ray brought that same issue up the first meeting we had. The absolute first meeting we had, Ray brought that issue up.
So you're 20 years old, you start here, okay? Because we have, that work for me, we have 3 that are younger than my kids. And they won't be able to get paid until they're 52 years old. So if they stay here, they're gonna wait. They're gonna be 40 or 41 years old when they leave here. Okay, that's if they did, what, 20 years. If they did 25, they'd be waiting 9 years to get paid. Why? Why would they do that? You're not getting any interest on your money, you're not getting anything, you're just waiting to get paid. There's no COLA accruing, there's nothing. So they're behind the 8 ball already, and then they're gonna be behind the 8 ball when they start collecting. Why would you do it? You'd be a fool. And, I mean, it's just really foolish, because in a day and age where people don't even wanna do this profession anymore, when I came onto this profession almost 29 years ago, there was a line around the block to go apply for this job. Now, we gotta beg them, and we gotta get them fancy uniforms with little things that they can hang doodads on their thing, because or else they won't, oh no, the uniform, this. You have to bribe them to come do this job. And if you don't think so, come ride with me, Mark. You're a Yankee fan. I'll sit you in my car and we can go talk to these kids. Okay? No, you guys are just, you're out of touch, and I hate to say it that way, but.
I don't think we're out of touch.
Well,
We
you are.
understand.
With this profession, I'm saying, no, I'm just
Well, it's
saying.
not just me, we've got the chief here and the captain, I mean, it's not just me and somebody, I know, I bargain all over the state for police.
Mark,
fire.
with all due respect, do you think anybody, and I love both of these guys, do you think anybody goes to any one of these 2 guys over here and complains to them about how terrible they got it when they just came on 2 years ago? You'd be out of your mind. You'd be a fool. I didn't talk to my lieutenant the first 5 years that I came on because they told me I couldn't. You think they're gonna go to a chief or to a captain and say, hey, you know, this place is
No,
really
no.
terrible?
I was just saying, they understand the profession, as do we. We know it's a tough job, we know it's demanding, we know it's dangerous, and again, it's not an issue, and we wouldn't want anybody to think the city doesn't understand. We've been at a police department for all these years, but, you know, I wanna try to end on a positive note, even though we're on this pension, we're not necessarily agreeing. We are willing to keep talking, we wanna, you know, set another meeting, whether we do it here or via email, to get another meeting on the calendar. Just, we do have some things to look at. I'm telling you, I have things, we have, the city has things to consider. And, you know, we wanna do the right thing, we're not trying to, you know, bluff through this, I'm not making up stuff. I wanna be sure that we know where we are, so that I can advise the city, and the city knows, can this happen, what's the effect of this, what's the effect of that. And then again, you've got, if you've got another proposal, taking into consideration the wage offer and pension, you know, again, we've talked to the commission, we want them to know what your thinking is, what your concerns are, and ultimately, you know, they've got to give us the guidance on this, so we want to set another meeting and keep the dialogue going. So do you want to set it now? Do you want to set it now? I don't know if we get everybody's calendars going, or. We're gonna need a little bit of time to look into this, but. Well, we're done.
Still stuck from my.